I'm here with my roommate and friend, Alex, and we decided to social distance in Peterborough. So here we are, we're outside at this beautiful reservoir, and I started looking at the rocks and thinking, if I didn't have a lot of experience making art in nature, a great place to start would be looking at the ground. What is on the ground that you don't normally look at? What is everywhere? A lot of rocks of different sizes and shapes and patterns and colors, right?
Wow, there are so many rocks down here.
So that's your first challenge. Let's start looking at the rocks that are not too far from your front door, whether it's in the front of your house, the side, or the back. And what can we do? So one thing you can do after you collect the rocks that you have found, whether you are selective or not, is maybe start figuring out where you want to make your arrangement with the rocks that you find. So I just, found this little spot in the ground and I started clearing off the area a little bit, okay? Because maybe, so here's an art term, maybe I want the contrast to be higher. So I want some, ground that isn't so dry on the top so that these rocks stand out better, because once I clear the ground away, right, it's a little bit darker, a little bit more damp. And when I put the rocks down, they'll have a higher contrast, right? Makes sense? Yeah? Okay. So I'm going to play with that idea, and I'm not going to overthink it. I'm going to be really present in the moment, allow myself to just relax, let my senses guide me, feel the sun, feel the cold air. No excuses not to go outside as a New Hampshireite, right? You all are tough, so put on your scarf if it's cold out, and if you need to wear mittens or gloves, and if people are asking what you're doing digging around the dirt, if you're worried about people thinking that you're crazy, say that you're doing it for your art class, so, that's a good excuse, right? But I promise you, if you go into it really relaxed, it will be really enjoyable. Just get back to your inner child, and like I said, maybe you don't have a plan. Maybe you're just doing it one rock at a time, and place a rock down, place another one down. Ask yourself, where does this next rock want to go? Let the energy guide you. Let the other powers that be, whatever they are, guide you, and just have fun playing with natural objects as art resources, and be in tune to the textures and the colors and the sizes. Maybe you put a rock next to another rock because they look differently and therefore they complement each other. Okay? So all of that is really, really good practice for your drawing skills and sculpting and everything. You wouldn't think it, but the brain is picking up on that type of connection to those visual elements, and how it is also part of our visual language vocabulary and familiarity. So yeah, it's all worth it. It's not meaningless if you need to be convinced. But I think, many of you understand. Okay. All right, I'm going to try this out. We'll see what happens. All right, class, I'm back. And I created something out of just rocks, and someone who likes to identify themselves as an artist, when I'm not in practice, I feel my mind starting to get a little anxious, like I don't know what to do. And as soon as you recognize that, allow yourself to just take a deep breath and say, it doesn't matter. I don't need to know what I'm doing. You're a living, breathing being, and you're using your hands, and you're just making a decision. You don't need to have an exact reason why you're making that first decision. And normally it's just getting over that first hump, So I just started moving rocks around and changing them, not really, just kind of like feeling it out. And so here's what I came up with. I don't know if you can see this really sweet little character right here. I don't want to really interpret it. I'd like you to interpret it, Look at it. How does it make you feel? Maybe some of you are saying creepy. Maybe some are saying happy. Perhaps that's the individual's hair or a crown. And look closely at the rocks. You know, some rocks have more points to them, so I put them over here. All right, I'm back. So I just collected some grasses and I found some cool seeds from last fall, you know, and a couple other sticks. So, yep, there's my lion. There's Leo right there, just kind of meditating. Right, Leo? And I want to take this character to the next level. Maybe this character has more potential than just using rocks. I mean, I'm pretty happy the way it came out with the rocks, but let's see what else we can do. So I love how this stick here kind of finishes the bottom off of the bust of the character. Okay. And I was thinking, what if I brought an arm up? And the reason why I could bring this arm up is perhaps this character is going to present something to us and hold something, some little bit of like wisdom in their hand. And the wisdom that I want to put in their hand is this beautiful seed pod that I found that looks like it could be like a staff or a wand. And think about what the metaphor of the seed could represent. So maybe they're holding this in their hand. Maybe we have a couple fingers coming out. You know, just think really rudimentary. Like it doesn't have to be photorealistic or exact proportions. You know, think about symbolism when you do this type of art. Okay, so, and you know, there's a little string that this little thing came in there, and also be a little particular about maybe some things in your composition, moving them out if they're not part of like your plan, you know, as you're figuring out, as your plan is evolving. And maybe grow the thumb out here a little bit. Okay, so that's what we have so far. Okay, so I have these really beautiful pieces of grass that I think could frame the top of this character really nicely. Kind of bring this line. So think about, like, here's line, right? We're working with line. We're working with this texture and this rhythm coming in. How does that movement make you feel when you go from this nice line to suddenly this type of, you know, energy and movement, and how does that affect the composition as it comes into what you've built? Maybe I want to pull that up. Maybe I want these lines to come into this empty space right here a little bit. Bring that motion in. Okay. So maybe these come to a peak up here. And you know, I'm sure some of you have done this before, right? I mean, when we're young, a lot of things that people do in kindergarten is make fairy houses, right? The wind's even blowing it away. This is a good lesson. Ephemeral art. Ephemeral means it's not permanent. Ephemeral is Well, really, it's a lesson for all of us. Nothing is permanent. Think about what's going on in the world right now. Everything's falling apart. But as things are falling apart, new things are coming together. So I added this rock here to hold down the straw, and there's some other sticks to kind of balance out the other side. Maybe, I don't know, maybe that could represent like shelter. And there's my character. And then, you know, like the scraggliness coming out of the heart, but then I actually put the stone back where the heart is, just to feel that groundedness. So I added some more pieces of grass to the hands. Maybe this could represent food, nature, life. And then, this is one of my favorite parts. This rock to me looks like a bear. Like if you ever look at Native American art, some Native American art, the animal symbols are very crude, and this looks like a bear to me. So I like how this part right here is like the base of this person, but it could also represent like another universe in here where the animals are walking along the land within the people, so we're all interconnected. So yeah,